What is up, my night guy people? Hope you all are well. I'm finally getting to Antarctica's super soldier bases, part 2. If you remember last time, we talked about the lady who claimed that she was called down to Antarctica to help fix a security protocol problem because one of the hybrids escaped. This hybrid in particular was a reptilian human hybrid, and it was green, had claws for hands, super speed, super strength, and much more. Apparently, it had broken out of a regeneration chamber. These are used after they go to battle or after they go through rigorous training to regenerate the beings. And they are kept in these in a stasis until they are called to combat or they are needed for any type of mission or something along those lines. So these bases were super advanced. They literally had, in the briefing room, she said they had kiosks all around the room with holographic images on them. That, along with super advanced lab tech, even advanced weaponry, stuff that she had never seen anything like. When she first got there, they hadn't caught the hybrid at large yet. So she fixed the protocol or the program in the computer that was for security, and afterwards they showed her the entire facility. She said it was absolutely massive, but mostly she was taken aback by the beings that she saw. Now, at the beginning, where the male hybrid had broken out, she saw both male and female hybrids. But when they showed her around, she said they really only showed her female hybrids for some reason. She wasn't allowed to see the male hybrids. Regardless, these hybrids were insane. Like what you see in the movies, more or less. Depending on the human and what they crossed the human with would be dependent on what traits came out of the hybrid. She said some of them used even Dragonoid DNA to cross them with humans to create these hybrids. Dragons. Others were fully human. They were just super soldiers. Pretty much Captain America. But between the two type of beings, the powers that they had obviously depended on the cross or the hybrid, but regardless, they were all absolutely insane, literally out of this world type stuff. Things you and I really can't even fathom. She said that some of them could manipulate the weather. Others could manipulate fire, earth, wind, water. And before we continue, y'all know the deal. This video is for entertainment purposes only. I'm not presenting it as absolute fact, as is every video on my page. So if you believe it, that's on you. And make sure y'all do me a solid. Hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I post. If you're into fringe and out of this world content, make sure you do everything I just said so you don't miss out. So in these regeneration tanks, they would have different types of colored goo based on what ET was being crossed with what animal and then introduced into the human genome. And depending on which lab they were in would be what beings were actually being created there. Each lab was lined with regeneration tanks. She, as I said, mostly only saw the females. They didn't let her see the males very often. But the various types that she saw were absolutely mind-blowing. She saw humans crossed with amphibious DNA, wolf DNA, ape DNA, even Dragonoid DNA, reptilian, you name it. They were crossing people with all kinds of different species. Sometimes they would grow fur, sometimes they would grow scales. They all had some sort of type of body armor depending on what they were crossed with. The alligator-like skin was from reptilians, and the scales were also from reptilian Dragonoid DNA. Some of them would even grow horns from the reptilian Dragonoid DNA. One of the crosses that really surprised me was that they actually were crossing people with gargoyle type DNA. You're talking gargoyle. Oftentimes, these beings would even grow wings. They could literally fly. while other beings that were there could just go completely invis, literally disappear into thin air. Now, what really impressed me about the tech that they had was this. She stated that while they were in the regeneration tanks, information was being uploaded to their brains. They were being augmented. Yeah, we're talking some straight up Matrix stuff right here. They were taught the strategy of warfare, crafts of fighting, different crafts in fighting, hand-to-hand combat. The one that escaped, he was even taught weaponry combat. And we aren't necessarily talking super advanced energy weapons like you would think they would be using. I imagine they had that type of weaponry. I mean, we're talking super advanced labs here. So they had the opportunity, I'm sure, to use some of the best weaponry tech in the possibly galaxy. I'm not sure. I know it just sounded weird to say. But yeah, they were way beyond what we can even think of or picture, let alone. What these beings were using would be, to us, almost considered probably like magic. You're talking telekinesis, energy harnessing, crystal probably type weaponry. Our guy that escaped was being augmented to use 2 swords. He was being taught how to fight with swords, which really surprised me. I mean, I imagine, you know, these swords were something special, probably made out of a indestructible type steel or material like meteorite, something like that. It was, she said, super light. They were super light, and they were pretty much, yeah, more or less indestructible. I've even heard at times they'll even intertwine vril with these weapons, and it makes it so they are actually more than just a weapon that can cut. They become something powerful, something energy-based, not just conventional. Are these beings using their powers, you know, kind of like the sword in the stone, Excalibur? From what I've learned throughout history, you can't discount anything as a myth. So, you know, what Merlin had a staff or a, you know, magic wand, if you will. Then you have Excalibur. I don't know if you've seen King Arthur, but Excalibur is a weapon of light, and it was used to defeat a demon type entity, an evil entity. And as I said, this kind of surprised me because these beings are in a super advanced world with super advanced tech, but yet they're still being augmented to fight with hand weaponry, swords. Pretty cool, I thought. Really cool, in fact. She would go on to say that there are actually 4 labs throughout Antarctica, 2 under the ice and 2 under the ocean. And each of these labs were elaborate. They had the best of the best, and they had super advanced tech. But the majority of them were lined with those regenerative tanks. Now, they were all in cryogenic stasis, and they were being augmented. And not only were they being augmented to fight in battle, but they were also being augmented as far as their personalities, future missions, whether they were supposed to save a planet or stop a massive event on Earth. At times, they had to be taught how to blend in with humanity. Yes, they would have to go undercover at times and completely pass for a human being in society. So like I said, y'all, this is stuff you see in Hollywood, like some Avengers type super soldiers, or another would be like X-Men, for example. I think X-Men is a lot more accurate after seeing this than I previously believed. Again, I don't want to sit here and pass this off as absolute fact, because I don't know. But I gotta say, the thought of it, shoot, it's freaking awesome. So one of the labs had gray thick steel walls so that no being could escape. This lab also had clones clones waiting for hybridization. These specialized regeneration tanks have been used from Area 51 to Mars to even other planets where full body regeneration has to be done to the soldier before it can step foot on that planet. What this witness or lady specialized in was the security protocol program for the computers for the regeneration tanks. She stated that these beings are so smart, they're actually, as they're in cryo, learning the processes of these regeneration tanks, and somehow they're able to actually activate them or reverse engineer them to allow them to escape. So while they're in cryo, their consciousness is trying to learn how to get the hell out of there. Crazy. So why they called her in was to rewrite the program or add more security protocols to the program so there was virtually no escaping. Whether it worked or not, absolutely, I doubt it. I imagine they're always having to evolve their security protocols because these beings are super intelligent. So that about does it, y'all. That wraps up the Antarctica Super Soldier Labs. I hope you enjoyed it. And you gotta wonder, are there more labs like this in the world? I imagine so. And always remember, y'all, truth can be stranger than fiction. And make sure you tune in next time, fam, for the Vajra Chronicles and the prediction of World War III.